Genk in Belgium for round one of the Rotax Max Euro Challenge 2012, and on pole for the senior final is Strawberry Racing's Harrison Scott in kart 254. Alongside him in kart 205 is Sean Babington for Dan Holland Racing. And then it's 203 Ed Brand for Formula K Europe. The top three qualifiers all British. Starting fourth from Ireland, it's Charlie Eastwood. He's driving for ProTrain Racing in kart 208. And then from Belgium, it's Kenny Vermeulen in kart 281 for KK Racing. Completing the top six on the grid, we've got kart 211, Sean Slavin from Great Britain, another of the Formula K Europe racers. So the karts pull away from the grid and head onto the warm-up lap, ready for the rolling start. We enjoyed an absolutely terrific battle in the pre-final. Harrison Scott and Sean Babington traded the lead on countless occasions. The top five were glued together throughout, and we had several drivers like Kenny Vermeulen and Sean Slavin who came up into the top six towards the end, and they could make this one even more interesting. The final gets underway, and in the blue race suit, Sean Babington has been caught napping at the start. The pole side of the grid came charging past, and he's going to be no higher than fourth through turn one. Scott leads, Brandy second, Vermeulen shot up to third, and then it's Babington in fourth place as the rest of the field weave their way through the first few corners. In fifth place, it's Charlie Eastwood, and up to sixth has come number 296, Josh Hart from New Zealand. So a poor start from Sean Babington, but he showed plenty of fighting spirit to come back up the order in the pre-final a couple of times. And there he is in fourth place, kart 205. Onto the tail of Kenny Vermeulen, looks to the inside and moves ahead of the Belgian driver. So that puts him back into the top three. An important move that to prevent the leaders from escaping down the road. Onto the end of lap one, this is the battle for third. Sean Babington leading a four-kart train as he's trying to close the gap that the top two, Harrison Scott and Ed Brand, opened up on the first lap. I think he's pretty much done that already. Meanwhile, Brand is starting to put the pressure on Scott, but so far the race leader's not giving anything away. And just behind, there's a change for third, and it's Vermeulen that's gone back ahead of Babington, the Belgian keen to finish on the podium in his home race. And look at this, synchronised overtaking. Brand snatches the lead from Scott. At the same time, Babington retakes Vermeulen for third. And on the exit to the turn, the Belgian then loses two more places. And now, Scott and Babington both move ahead of Brand. Quick, let me give you the race order before it changes again. Harrison Scott and Sean Babington are first and second. Ed Brand is third. And Charlie Eastwood is fourth. And guess what? They're going to be in a different order by the time they get to turn one. Babington and Brand charge past Scott, and oh no, Charlie Eastwood crashes out of fourth place. Number 296, Josh Hart, also caught up in that. A replay, Hart runs into the back of Eastwood, but only because he was given a shove by 281 Vermeulen. And the fact that Vermeulen then shakes his fist on the way out of the corner suggests he might have been given a shove as well. A chain reaction, and the main victim was Eastwood. So a sad exit to the race for the Irish driver. Babington, Brand and Scott are the top three, but that's really mixed things up behind with number 228, Jack Aitken, now up to fourth for ProTrain Racing. Number 278, Barry Pullinger, fifth for Dan Holland Racing. And 211, Sean Slavin, sixth for Formula K Europe. It's the Euro Challenge, but the top six are all British. But in which order will they finish? And that was Scott slicing past Brand to take second place. It's a bit like the pre-finals, this, in that despite all of the overtaking, all of the pressure from the other drivers, it's Babington and Scott who keep floating back to the top. But Brand is certainly a match for them. He's already proven more than capable of mixing it with these two. As 278 Barry Pullinger steals fourth place from Jack Aitken. And it's time for a change of lead. Scott takes over from Babington. This pair have literally been overtaking each other all day. And it's about to happen again. The advantage goes to Babington, and this time Brand follows him through. So now the top five looks like this: Babington, Brand, Scott, Pullinger and Aitken. They charge into turn one, and Pullinger goes third. And I think that's the first time that Barry has broken into the top three in either the pre-final or this race. But Barry's dreams of a podium don't last for long. He's quickly back to fourth, and then that becomes sixth when Jack Aitken and Sean Slavin both find a way through. And the battle is just as fierce in the middle of the pack. That's 224, Arvo Talvar running wide. Number 250, Ludwig Morin from Sweden, one of the drivers to get ahead of the Estonian. And then in the blue suit, that's 210, Antoine Barthon diving up the inside of 245, Hubert Petit. Two of the French drivers contesting the Euro Challenge. Back to the leaders, Babington and Brand just ahead of Scott, and now Brand goes for the lead. A clean pass, and you can see that the top three have now pulled clear of the pack. helped by the fact that they're not fighting each other too hard. When one gets alongside, the others let him go. And that's Jack Aitken being pushed out of the top 6 now. Alexandra Finkelstein and Holland's Joel Affolter both charge past. Up ahead, 2:03, Ed Brand leads the way for Formula K Europe. 2:05, Sean Babington, second for Dan Holland Racing. And 2:54, Harrison Scott, third for Strawberry Racing. Identical lap times from the three of them, and the running order is about to be revised again. Scott goes back ahead of Babington. At various stages, Scott's been first, second, third and fourth in this race, but he's never been out of the mix. Britain's Sean Slavin is fifth, Joel Affolter from the Netherlands is sixth, and the New Zealander Josh Hart runs seventh. And just maybe that second group of karts is starting to close up to the leaders. Something for the top 3 to bear in mind as they continue to battle, with Sean Babington now returning to the head of the group. They accelerate onto the start-finish straight once more, heading towards turn 1, where Babington lost the lead quite a few times in the pre-final, but he holds a tight line this time, maybe too tight. He's slow on the exit, and that allows Scott and Brand to drive past him. He's out wide and has to concede the places. The three of them hurtle towards us. Brand and Babington tucked in behind the leader. They pop out of his slipstream, but did they get past? It looked like a move was on. And while we wait for the answer, here's Joel Affolter and Josh Hart passing Sean Slavin. And Hart smashes into the British driver as he comes past. Slavin is badly delayed and drops to the back of the group. Here's the replay. And it was heavy contact. Hart gets totally sideways. The 2:11 kart of Slavin loses 5 places. Despite the sideswipe, Josh Hart in kart 296 is in the top 5, but on his case is Ash Hand in kart 234. Ash led the pre-final at one stage, but got bumped and bruised down the pack, and he's done well to claw his way back. That puts him 5th. And in the battle for 7th, it's kart 232. James Singleton being shadowed by the Japanese driver Ukyo Sasahara in kart 290. Only a few laps remain, and this is now the order. Ed Brand leads, Harrison Scott is second, and Sean Babington is third. Joel Affolter is fourth, and we just saw Ash Hand progressing to fifth at the expense of Josh Hart. There's our lead trio, Brand taking his turn at the head of the group, and unless you can break away from your rivals, it's one of those races where you almost don't want to be the one leading onto the final lap, because that makes you the target and the one giving the others a free tow. And there you go, Harrison Scott drafts past to lead. Onto the straight, and the drivers take a moment for a glance over the shoulder just to assess what's going on behind and whether the gaps are growing or diminishing. One gap that definitely is coming down is to 4th place, the red kart of Joel Affolter, not too far away from making this a 4-way battle for victory. And maybe Babington can sense that too. He no longer wants to be the man in 3rd. That honour now belongs to Brandy in the 203 kart. And right on cue, Affolter has now joined the party. And Babington is definitely beginning to crank up the pace. Having passed Brand, he's now straight onto the back bumper of the race leader, Harrison Scott. A look up the inside, but he thinks better of it. 4 drivers, 3 places on the podium. Who's going to be the one to miss out? It's far too close to call. And now Babington is close again to Scott. He draws alongside, and this time he's through. Of this lead group, Babington and Scott have been the most frequent race leaders, but they shouldn't discount Brand or Affolter. Into the next braking zone, and Scott muscles his way back ahead. Brand has a go as well, but to no avail. And for the first time in this race, Joel Affolter is into the top 3, but almost immediately Brand puts pay to that. He's been in a podium paying position for the entire race, and he's not about to give that up at this late stage. That's given the top 2 the smallest of gaps, but on the brakes into turn 1, Brand starts to close back up. Harrison Scott, the race leader, ran a little wide on the exit, but he remains up front. This is going to be intense all the way to the flag. Onto the final lap, and it's still Harrison Scott who leads, but is that really the best place to be right now? No! Babington dives past. Brand also tries to squeeze by. Scott chucks it over the curbs, gets the lead back, and now you've got Josh Hart tagging onto the back of the group. The top 5 almost nose to tail. Well, that was sheer determination from Harrison Scott to keep the lead. It looked for all the world as though he was going to get pushed down to 3rd, yet here he is, still in 1st place. Heading into another popular passing point, but nobody's able to make a move. Scott still leads, Babington 2nd, Brand 3rd. And Harrison Scott knows full well they're going to be looking for a way past on every single corner from here to the end of the race. So he's getting defensive, he's hogging the inside line. Last corner, he hugs the inside curb, but that's going to compromise his exit speed. And here comes Babington, a sprint to the line. Babington is coming through, he wins, Brand steals 2nd, and Scott tumbles from 1st to 3rd at the very last moment. What an end, what a race.
Taking the lead in the 2012 championship, the winner is Sean Babington. Roland Geidel, once again with a suitably happy smile on his face, making his way to the podium. Mr. Roland Geidel, who 40 years ago was racing hot rods in this neck of the woods, lived in Antwerp I think at the time, raced at Venray in front of crowds of 20,000. Sean receiving the trophy, the congratulations, and all of the, well, the bragging rights, if you will. Well, I don't want to put a downer on a happy occasion, but I have to tell you that Ed Brand in second place may have been